All right, so just when you thought Elon Musk's ambitions couldn't possibly get any bigger than, Mars, he goes and announces a plan that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Today, we're going to break down his latest, and maybe his most wild vision yet, a fully autonomous AI factory on the moon.
Yeah, you heard that right. An AI satellite factory. On the moon? I mean, the first question that pops into my head is that even possible? The whole idea is to build this huge, super high-tech manufacturing plant right there on the lunar surface. So, okay, how would that even work?
Well, from what we're hearing, the plan is actually shockingly simple, at least on paper. Step 1, build a factory on the moon. Step 2, use that factory to churn out AI-powered satellites. And step 3, get this, launch them into space using a giant catapult. An electromagnetic catapult, basically. It's an absolutely incredible idea, right? But what's the end game here?
So this isn't just some billionaire's passion project. No way. This plan is Musk's big move. His answer to one of the most intense tech battles happening right now on Earth, the race for AI supremacy.
And you really have to listen to how Musk himself talks about this. He's not just talking about building, faster computers. He's aiming for an intelligence so massive that we, quote, can't even imagine what it would think about. For him, the moon is the only place big enough to make that kind of jump.
So yeah, it really all boils down to one thing, leadership. Musk thinks that by moving the whole operation off-planet, his company, XAI, can get a computational edge that's so enormous, no one on Earth could ever hope to catch up. He's literally taking the AI race to a whole other world. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, he's imagining 100 terawatts of AI compute every single year. To put that in perspective, that's a staggering, almost unimaginable amount of power. It would blow away anything we have here on Earth. But this brings up a really big question. Because for years and years, the moon wasn't even on his radar.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really interesting. Because for as long as any of us can remember, right, it was always Mars, Mars, Mars. That was Musk's ultimate goal. So why this sudden, really dramatic pivot to the moon? You might not believe this, but just a little over a year ago, Musk called the moon a distraction. Yeah, a distraction from the real goal, which was getting to Mars. So what on earth could have changed his mind so completely? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is just simple logistics. When you look at the numbers, it starts to make a lot of sense. A trip to Mars? That takes 6 months. And you can only even try to launch every 26 months. But the moon? It's just a 2-day trip. And you get a new launch window pretty much every 10 days. That kind of speed means you can develop and test things way, way faster. So the whole story has shifted. The big mission is still about extending consciousness, but now the moon is pitched as the quicker, more realistic first step. We're talking about a potential lunar city in less than 10 years, compared to 20 years or more for Mars. But there might be another reason for this change of heart, a reason that's a little more down to earth. The philosophical goals are huge, for sure, but the financial reasons, they might be even more powerful. So let's do what you always do in these situations. Let's follow the money and see the business case for the moon.
Okay, so here's the big one. SpaceX already has a multi-billion-dollar contract with NASA. And what's it for? To use Starship for the Artemis moon missions. That means U.S. taxpayer money is directly paying for the development of the exact rocket he needs to build a moon base. Then you throw in a potential SpaceX IPO, maybe as soon as 2026, and suddenly having a clear, already funded goal like a moon city looks really, really good to investors. Okay, let's recap. The vision is there, the rocket is getting funded, the business case looks pretty solid, but there is one final, absolutely massive hurdle that could stop this whole thing dead in its tracks, and that is the law. See, this whole plan walks right into a huge legal gray area. On the one hand, you've got the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which is super clear. No country can own the moon. Period. But then, on the other hand, there's a 2015 U.S. law that basically says American companies can own any resources they pull out of space. So you've got these two laws, and they're headed straight for a collision. There's a professor, Mary Jane Rubenstein, who has this perfect analogy for the whole mess. She says it's like the treaty says you can't own the house, the moon itself. But that 2015 law suggests you can take the floorboards and the beams. And that, of course, is exactly what you'd need to do to build a factory. And that really brings us to the final huge question that this entire, multi-trillion-dollar idea really hangs on. So, can you take parts of the moon, use them, make money from them, without technically owning it? The answer to that question isn't just about Musk's lunar factory. It's probably going to define the entire next chapter of humanity's push out into space.